halkani waa somaliahighnews.com.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا.
I would like to welcome you to the first annual fundraising dinner for the Muslim American Society Mosque. My name is Omar Hashi. I'm here, I will be doing the MC. So inshallah ta'ala we will start our program. We have a very nice program for you. And so let me start, inshallah. Let's start with Quran and welcoming address by our brother Dr. Hazim Ghaif. Inshallah ta'ala. So help me welcome Dr. Hazim Ghaif.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا. صدق الله العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Thanks for coming. Mass Columbus, Mass Youth Columbus. In 2006, few brothers and sisters met together and made a commitment to make a youth center in Columbus, Mass Youth Center. Many of them are not here anymore. Some of you might remember the names. Brother Abdul Hafiz Asfour, Sister Layla, Sister Mona, Brother Hassan, many names, many Sheikh Faris, but they are not here anymore. But their reward will continue to be there because what they started in Columbus. Because they saw the vision, they saw what we are talking about. They saw a community that's growing up in Columbus and United States that needs to be prepared for what's coming. Their youth need to grow up finding centers, finding environment that will help them continue committed to the religion. So alhamdulillah, over the last years, hundreds and hundreds of youth made use of our school. People made use of our center in terms of prayers, halaqat, Ramadan, Taraweeh, all the activities that I've been doing, guests that we keep inviting to come and help our youth understand the religion more. I would say 100 plus of our youth were able to attend mass development programs, tarbiyah programs, become real, committed and active members for Islam. Again, these 100 plus people, youth, not all of them are still in Columbus. Some of them are here, and that's why we'll have this function. They were able to organize functions like this for us. But many of them, we develop them and they leave to other cities. But that's good, as long as you continue to be leaders in other cities. That's what we are doing. Mass is a national organization, and that is the homework, that we prepare somebody somewhere because of the United States market. They had to leave sometimes to other cities, they become engaged somewhere else. That's how it works, and we are moving forward like that. So alhamdulillah. My own story, and that's why I'm happy that I'm a member of Mass. I'm happy that I was committed to Mass vision, and I'm happy to bring it to my home. that some of you might know that for sometimes my daughter gave us a hard time. And some of the brothers and sisters here know this, who I shared with them my problems sometimes. Sister Shamsa helped us a lot, Jazakallah khairan, with my daughter. She gave us 2 years of hard time in her teens. But today I'm happy that when I arrived today, a sister, Jazakallah khair, when she saw me, she said, you are the father of Daria. I said, how did you know? She is the one who's helping us making the youth program in the camp, and I know her, and you were standing next to her. She saw me with my daughter. Now I'm defined. I'm happy to be defined in Columbus with my daughter as an active member for Islamic cause, for the future of Islamic community in the United States. So Alhamdulillah, what we are doing in Columbus, in Mass, not only Columbus, Mass National in general, what we are doing in Mass, that we are working hard to educate our kids when they grow up, not just to live by Islam, but being actively working as a messenger of the messengers of Rasulullah in this country, as well as helping the peers, the rest of the youth, help them to stay in the right path. That is the message that Mass is doing, and this, alhamdulillah, is working. Hundreds of children, I would say children at what time, they became youth that we were taking care of in Mass. They stayed in halaqas, they became actively working in Columbus and outside. Inshallah, Mass will continue like that. And Jazakumullah khair, whoever came today understands that vision, understands the future, and helping us in that route. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
MashaAllah, that was beautiful. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to move next to our brother Nadim Sadiqi, the chairman of Mass National Board of Trustees. Inshallah, he's going to talk to us about the philosophies of the Muslim American society, the philosophy behind Mass. Inshallah, welcome, brother.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu wa-salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal-mursaleen. I begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise belongs to Allah, Lord, creator and sustainer of the universe. And peace and blessings be upon his beloved messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is an honor for me to stand before you today to try and present vision of Mass, or who Mass is as an organization. As was mentioned, I currently serve as the national chairman of the Mass Board of Trustees. Mass is an organization that has been around for 20 years now. It was formed in 1993, and pre-1993, Mass members were very active, various other organizations. And so predecessor organizations also exist. So the bottom line, for a long time now, people have been active on this front in trying to bring the message of Islam in a comprehensive fashion to our community. Mass vision or understanding of this message is founded on the prophetic model, on the model that Islam is a comprehensive, balanced movement. It is comprehensive in its nature in that it touches all aspects of life. It touches politics as well as our religious affairs. It touches the family as well as society. And yet at the same time it is balanced in that every single element has to receive its due share of the work. Our mission in Mass is to move people to strive for God consciousness, liberty and justice, and to convey Islam with utmost clarity. To move people to strive for God consciousness, liberty and justice, and to convey Islam with utmost clarity. And why do we want to do that? Well, we have a vision. Our vision is a virtuous and just American society where Muslims are exemplary citizens who are actively shaping society. So we're all about people. As we just mentioned, our development programs. Our mission statement states we are here to move people to do all these things. So ultimately what Mass is about is moving people. We help to shape and develop people. And through people, we hope to shape and develop families. And through that, society as a whole, our organizations, and the larger society, and the global society at large. All of that builds one on the other. We have chapters across the country. Inshallah, we will find a chapter in almost every single metro area in the United States, and we have other like-minded organizations in Canada and Britain, elsewhere as well. I myself am from Canada, and that's why I'm keen to mention Canada. Having just mentioned, people grow and develop in Columbus and then they move out. But it's not a loss. I grew up in Canada. I'm from Toronto. I grew up there. That's where I joined MAC, the Muslim Association of Canada. But it's very easy when you move around. I got married, moved to the United States. So I looked around for similar-minded people. I said, hey, here's MAS. Same ideology, same methodology. You guys look similar. So I joined MAS. And through MAS, we moved around. I used to live in New Jersey, lived in Detroit. I just moved to Columbus about 2 months ago. But the wonderful thing is, you can move across the country. And very quickly, you find yourself very much at home. Why? Because you find this group of like-minded people who have the same understanding, who have the same drive, who have the same vision as you do. Because they have that same passion that, you know what, I want to change myself, and so I want to grow, I want to develop, I want to change my family, I want to change my society, and I want to do it in a positive fashion. I want to impact society in a positive way. And it's very easy to fit in. So it makes it very, very smooth. In order to do all this, we've mentioned this word development, or the Arabic word tarbiyah, personal development, systematic development. And that is key. That's at the cornerstone of MAS methodology. We work on individuals. We have these study circles, if you wish, or personal development programs, where each member commits according to his or her level, that they are going to come together every week, every month, in different types of programs. They're going to develop themselves from an Islamic knowledge perspective, from a community service perspective, from giving back to society perspective, from many different perspectives. They're going to grow and develop. And as they grow and they develop, they're going to bring other people with them. And this growth and this development cannot happen in a vacuum. This is not a theoretical program. And so MAS strongly believes in what is known as experiential learning. You learn through experiences. You are learning theoretically in halaqah. That's great. Everybody talks about ikhlas and sincerity, and you nod your head. Of course. Everybody talks about being polite. Of course, everybody's going to nod their head. Nobody's going to say no. But it's when you get out in the field and you start doing something and you have friction and you have disagreements, that's when your ikhlas is actually tested. Are you really sincere in doing what you're doing? When you have those strong disagreements and people start using not so polite language, that's when your test comes to play. All of that stuff that you learned in halaqah, are you actually putting into practice? Or when the rubber meets the road, are you going to fail? And say, you know what, all that stuff was theoretical, you nodded your head, but when time came to practice, you weren't able to implement. And so we have this strong program where you're in a halaqah, that's great, but you have to give back to society. You work either through MAS programs, MAS PACE, public affairs, civic engagement, you have lots of different programs available, or you work through other organizations, through your local masajid, through your MSA, through CARE, through ICNA, through ISNA, Islamic Relief, whatever it might be. We encourage our members to go out, be active, and as you are having issues and problems and going through and working with other people, come back during your halaqah time, discuss, so that the lessons that you're learning in the halaqah are no longer theoretical. You say, we learned this in the seerah and we're talking about this, it's great, but when I was doing this in the MSA, this is a problem that we had, how do you deal with it? Well, you go back, you tie it to the seerah again, and you learn, and it becomes a very practical lesson that you go back the week after, and then you're able to implement it again right away in your MSA. It becomes a very dynamic process of learning and developing. And so MAS is very much focused on this tarbiyah, being pro-social, positively contributing citizens of this country, who are not just helping Muslims. That's great. That's a first step. But you want to be positively contributing citizens to society as a whole. We want to be good citizens for the city of Columbus. We want to be good citizens for the state of Ohio, for our country, the United States. We don't want just to be good citizens for ourselves. So all of these things that we're learning has to grow and develop and implement it into our programs that help our country. And that is when our mission and vision come into effect. And we think about, again, our mission is to move people to strive for God consciousness, liberty and justice, and to convey Islam with utmost clarity. Through these tarbiyah programs, through these youth programs, we're going to move people, youth and community at large, so that first they become Rabbani themselves, become God conscious, and then through that liberty and justice, which is good values that we value so much. And then with that understanding to be able to convey Islam to all of our friends and our neighbors across the country with utmost clarity. And again, why are we doing all this? What's the end goal? What is our vision? We want a virtuous and just American society. That's not just a Muslim society, not just a Muslim neighborhood. We want a virtuous and just American society. Society that will be just for everybody, of all faiths, of all backgrounds. And we want a society where Muslims are exemplary citizens who are actively shaping the society. Because of the values that we bring, we will be able to positively contribute in this development of this country. I invite each and every one of you to join and support MAS in moving forward with this mission and this vision. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah ta'ala, this time I would like to call Abdul Khair Sofe. He works at the office of the mayor of Columbus. So please welcome Abdul Khair Sofe.
I cannot hear you. وعليكم السلام. أنا حقيقة مشرور بوجودي معكم في هذه المناسبة سعيدا جدا مباركا. I am absolutely pleased to be here today in this very blessed evening with you. I know most of you know me. I'm not a religious scholar or an expert, and I'm not here to preach you or lecture you on religious matters, but rather want to speak with you on social issues today. I have to confess, when I first learned Mass, I thought somehow it was some kind of abbreviations. You know, in America nowadays, where everyone seems to be tired of even spelling out their names, the United States of America was abbreviated to USA, and somehow somewhere in the middle, the A was dropped. Now it was US. You know, Richard goes by Reed, William somehow, you may thought Will, but goes by Bill. Even Muhammad goes by Mo. So a friend of mine invited me to pray. It was a new masjid here. And as we were coming out, I thought, why would anybody abbreviate masjid to mass? Right? I mean, 6 letters, I thought they split it in half and abbreviated to mass. But I learned I was right of something. It was actually abbreviation, but it was Muslim American Society. What a beautiful name. But I also learned that Mass was not only a center where prayers and rituals and spiritual services are convened, but also a center where a valuable community services and programs such as the youth-oriented services were handled and provided. I was very impressed when my good brother Abu Sene invited me a year or 2 ago, I think it was 2011. Such a great questions, beautiful faces, it is absolutely wonderful to know that Mass, to learn the programs you provide. On my way out, I was thinking, هذه البرنامج القديم عجيب تمام. I don't even know what that is, but sounds beautiful. I thought it was a wonderful program. This gives us, my friends, a good reason why we need to support such organizations that have a commitment to support and invest in our youth, the young generation. That's what our future is. And I believe the Muslim American Society is such an organization. I'd like to thank you for your wonderful leadership, not only working with the youth groups, but also expanding your outreach to collaborate with other stakeholders. I have watched, I've seen the Mass efforts to engage with other communities, civic organizations, political leaders, and this is what we need in our community. The challenge we have with so many divisive attitudes going on, and sects, you know, even where the most of mosques will not, masjids will not pray one another and join one another in prayers. this is a kind of effort and leadership our community needs the most. We need, it became a buzzword, we have to help each other, but when you see someone walking the walk and making it, and investing, making an effort to build our community, that's when you know that it really takes a courage and action. Because unless you collaborate and build coalition and made an effort to get along with each other to build a community, that's what it takes. Friends, in this city, there is a demographic change going on, and I really feel good about it. Between the census year 2000 and 2010, the numbers that were gained, majority of those numbers were through immigration, 82% to be exact, were through immigration. And we know the numbers, who's here, and the rest 18% are pretty much basically half of it are our kids. So this county lost about 35,000, but gained 40,000. All those were the people in the Muslim community. We know where the numbers are. I think we made a great contribution to City of Columbus, Franklin County, and Central Ohio. Economically, when you see around with our students graduating college, we have very highly skilled professionals. We have our bright young generation kind of tend to, especially our girls, they are the best. I really mean it. The most beautiful, they represent our community in a way that most of our other people cannot represent. I'd like to thank you all for being the best. We ought to be the community that brings rich values, ideas, and wisdom, as it used to be, because if you know the history, Islam contributed a lot to the modern civilization and modern society. From algebra, science, history, arts, and even technology. Today's globalization would have been nothing without the Muslim communities around the world. We know that there is a challenge, and with the chaos and conflicts going on back in the Muslim world, if we work together and stick together and collaborate with one another, we can make this world a better place to live, to work, and to raise a family. But it's not going to happen unless someone really reach out like Mosque is doing and work very hard to engage the youth, to inform. Because if that doesn't happen, what will happen is our youth will shy away from our Islamic values. And we have some of them nowadays with the shisha and illicit activities going on. There is a huge forces of influence, a bad influence, that can affect our community unless we show a genuine leadership. And I expect organizations like Mosque to continue such a good work, to be proactive and give our youth a good reason why they should love their faith, why they should love their community, why they should love their culture, and why they should stick together. The fundamental identity of Islam and being a Muslim, the way most of our kids were raised, are still there. The only thing they need is a little push, little encouragement, someone who models what they teach and walks the walk in a very confident way. And that is what Mosque have shown me. But we gotta own it. We gotta own our community and our efforts and proudly claim this is what we did. Like the gentleman who spoke before me mentioned and listed the things this organization have accomplished. Unless you communicate and show what you have done and your commitment and your accomplishment, no one else will speak on your behalf. You gotta own it. That ownership is what makes the difference. We gotta own our history. We gotta own our contribution. We should own our destiny, our faith, and we also should own and give it back to And that's where everything starts and ends, giving it back. If you care and own it, then you should give it back. But you should ask those questions to yourself first, so you can reflect yourself and move it forward. Want to share with you and conclude this. We all know the issue of giving back nowadays is not an easy thing. We all have some kind of donor fatigue. They call it donor tardiness, where every week or so, the average person is asked maybe once or twice to give it back from different sources. And you probably thinking, if not out loud, what am I, a bank, right? I know I am, because people ask a lot of help with so many different families, extended families, Africa, Middle East, Asia, wherever you're from. But you also want to consider the popular truth that if you give, whatever you give will multiply, right? Have you heard that? Who tested? I did. You gotta test it. Because when somebody tells you, give me all your money will multiply, it's not an easy thing to believe that person. But if you test it, and I'm going to share with you a little story. I went to, in a short visit, in 2008, went to Africa. And spoke with, having a conversation with a good friend, a cousin of mine. I asked him how many camels does he have. He said, "Ulti hoga." That's a Somali. That's a way to say he has a little over 100 camels. And we continued having the conversation and asked other cousins, and he listed about 11 of them, and each one of them had about Ulti hoga, which means about 100 plus. And so I said, "You guys filthy rich." And he was okay. I said, "Alhamdulillah, we're okay." And we continued the conversation. I said, "What about the other families? The Hersi family, the Goulet family, the other extended cousins?" And some of them were doing okay. And I said, "Wow, you guys are wealthy." And as we were having the conversation, I said, "What's the secret?" You know what he said? He said, "We pay the zakah. Not only zakah, we not only settle with the zakah, but we also pay the sadaqah. So what happens is the camel will multiply." As he was telling me the story about camel multiplying, I was thinking, how long will it take for one camel to multiply? I mean, it carries 12 months, and it's hard. But as I was there talking to this cousin, I remembered a story that happened to me actually a few years earlier. And this was, I was here in Franklin County. A friend of mine made a solicitation for help, showed me pictures of orphan kids with some of the mental issues, and it hit me, it touched my heart, and I had only $130 in my account. With a little hesitation, I don't exactly remember, but I could imagine my hand was shaking as I was giving 100. I gave $100, only $30 left in my account. The next day, I got a call from a government authority, someone from a big port city in Florida called Miami, and he needed my help. "Hey, Abdi Khair, I got a call." Of course, he mispronounced my name. I got a call. I get your name from the Franklin County courts. I need your help. I have someone who says he's Somali here at the airport in detention, and I need your help. Well, I'm working. We negotiated back and forth. Guess what? He's going to pay me $5,000 to fly there and to tell him whether this guy is a Somali or not. That's literally the next day. So I took a leave. I was a civil service employee at Franklin County. Left 1 day leave. Not only the $5,000, but he will also pay the airfare, the taxis, the transportation, and what have you. I was there literally less than 2 hours to do the real work. he was 100% Somali. So I said, yes, he is Somali. I was on my way back with $5,000. So I would encourage you, my friends, it will multiply. If you open up your books and pay to help this good organization, Mosque. I'm going to leave you with this quote. From what we get, we can make a living. What we give, however, makes a life. Brothers and sisters, again, I want to see people multiplying their banks and electronic devices, cars, whatever you get. May bless you and your families. And barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
MashaAllah. So now we will get to the dinner, inshallah ta'ala. So for the next hour, we will be eating. And inshallah after that, while we're eating later, I will have Halima Yassin to talk to us about the youth activities and what they're up to. And after that, inshallah, Brother Abu Sani will update us about the financial parts of the mass. And then hopefully, inshallah, we'll get to the main event, inshallah, the fundraising. So for now, inshallah, our dinner will start. Assalamu alaikum for now.
Waking them into this positive outlook. And what happens is they can see beyond the immediate surroundings, watching the kids, especially at that age. I think, well, the issue is it depends. A lot of times there are. There's also famous situations. There are a lot of chronic stress. There's a lot of trauma within the family. So even if it doesn't there's a lot of support. Not all family members are over at the same time. So even if a child is born and raised in secondary trauma, that's not what happens as well. So it's not direct trauma, but trauma from parents. But I mean, if you know anybody who's had the image affects you with the gang, I would love
Tomorrow, Which city has more money? Corruption outside. Zero. This leadership, governments, workers, civil council, all no,
This conversation doesn't
no, in my decision, I cannot even go. The only thing I go to by the way, I'm not president of
we can sort of better skin.
Oh. Now, the Somalis themselves, you know, most of them.
The problem with Somali, they don't understand. You see, another person is doing corruption. When you try to do it, different when you do it.
So the Somalis people, do you think this is something?
Because Somali, outside, this corruption is my father's business. I'm not going to let you take it this way. You take it like it is. Not just Somali, in breakfast for another people.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm back. So I know you're finishing up eating. You will do that inshallah. But at the same time, I wanna welcome one of the youth of Mass to give us update about youth activities that Mass youth are involved. So inshallah ta'ala, help me welcome Halima Yasir.
Hope you guys are having good dinner, good time. Bismillah. Yes, I am a youth, and I'm from Mass. For many generations, the youth have changed. Like, when your grandmother is talking to your mother, she's like, oh, when I was younger, I used to do this. And when my mom is talking to me, she comes up to me like, oh, when I was younger, I used to do this, but each generation changes. But there are a few things that stay the same. The youth will always be our future, and they always need some influence. So this is why Mass Youth is here. We are a step forward for the youth. We prepare them for when they leave the city and go out and potentially become ambassadors for our religion. There are many, I would say, many things and many places we go to just to better bring them up. To better potentially prepare them for the future. We have conferences like the youth conference that my brother was talking about before that he spoke at. We have camp. We go to Chicago. We do all kinds of things just to prepare them for the future, because without them, I don't know where we'd be right now, because you guys, of course, were youth before. I'm with you, Adam. Yeah, and so because of the people who are above you, they helped you guys out. And so in order for that to happen, we created Mass Youth. Currently, I am a youth at Mass, and I have mentors like Ustad Abu Bakr, and my my father is a mentor to me. My sister's also a youth there, and so is my younger sister, Koza. And we all participate in those programs, going to different cities, learning new things. We have halakas on Friday. We bring the youth together and to create teamwork, build them up, because the workforce out there is brutal, and we need to learn this. We need to learn this. We need to be prepared. And this is just one step, becoming a better ummah in this world. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Halima is one of the math youth. And she talked about all the activities that math youth are involved. And those are the things that, that math are trying to do and have done over the years. So inshallah ta'ala. So now, I want to welcome Brother Abu Karsani, inshallah ta'ala, to give us update about the financial status of the organization. So help me welcome Abu Karsani.
واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى اله واصحابه ومن صار على ذكره واتبع هداه الى يوم الدين ثم اما بعد. Respected brothers in Islam, I want to welcome you first and foremost to this gathering that we have tonight. I know people are stuck in the tragedy that happened of our families here in Columbus. But we say the father and the mother and 4 kids passed away this last holiday. And that's the thing that we can also have some attention to it, so we can learn something from it. So this life is very short. We don't know when we're gonna die, and that's really the test that Allah has given us to look at. That this life is very short, and we don't know what time. With that, inshallah, I can say that. So inshallah, as I said at the beginning, what happened last Thursday was a lesson for us all, and that's how can we prepare for the hereafter. So I don't want to take much time from our guest speaker tonight, Brother Asad Zaman from the state of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Inshallah, he will be talking to us about the fundraising and the number of organizations and how they're important to work for the community and to move the community forward. That's the theme that we have tonight that you will be speaking about, inshallah. So I will go and tell you some information about Mosque Columbus, how now we are working in financial issues, how we are functioning as a chapter in Columbus, Ohio, and what we need from the community. That's really what I will tell you, inshallah. Brother had said already, because Mosque is here for the community, and that's the vision that we have, that Brother the team talked about also, which really to have that vision that really people can come together and work together for having that God consciousness in their life, that they can prepare for that life and work for that. And that's the tarbiyah. And that's why we have Mosque Center to do the work of tarbiyah. That's why we have the Center of Mosque Columbus to have that environment that's ready for people to prepare people to prepare for and have that tarbiyah in their life. So, Mosque Columbus financial update, if I can give you a little bit overview. We were here, we have been here since 2007. Even though Mosque was proceeded for that, there were some members here before we incorporated the chapter in the state of Ohio, but officially Mosque was incorporated in the state of Ohio in 2007. That's when it officially became a chapter in the state of Ohio. So and after that, we were doing our work in the state and in the city, everywhere, so that people can know us and also can join us and also can have this vision that we have for them to go with and live with. So if I tell you area, income and expenses. So we have income that comes to us in the army, and also we have expenses that we have to do the work. So in that case, I just want to give you the background of our income and expenses and how now we are working in Mosque Columbus. So I will give you some background about 2010 and 2011 and 2012, how we were doing financially in Mosque Columbus. Overall income of 2010 was $180,829.37. That's the overall income of 2010. Our expenses at that time, 2010, was $175,688.34. That was 2010. 2011, our overall income in 2011 was $187,309.18. But our expenses in 2011 was a little bit higher than our income. And our expenses was that year 2011 $199,361.59. In 2012, we had income that came from us from us, which was about $150,385.75. But our expenses in 2012 was also higher than our income, our expenses of 2011. And that was $201,013. $201,013.42. That was our expenses for 2012. So why I'm telling you this? Because I need you to know where we are. And also, as you see our income and expense scenario, because we're a small center here, and also we have a small center here in Columbus, Ohio. And that's why our income is really very, and our expenses are very small. So we are not a big, organization that really functioning and running for everything in general, but we have small capacity. Second slide, I will give you some detail now about how we divide the income. Category that we have in the income that we receive from the community in Columbus, Ohio. So donations, as any other organization, number of organizations are our main source of income. So we are waiting for the people to come and give us money. That's our main source of income. So in 2010, our general donation that we received from the community was $99,907.67. That was the general donation that we received from the community, general donation. But that also can be break up into other categories, which are also coming from this slide that you see, which are public work department, that what we do for the community at large. For example, the heat, for example, the event that we do, conferences, the camp, and all these things that we do for the community also is generates income for us. We get income from them. So public work department income at that time, 2010, was $32,247.51. And the first one for the general donation was about 66% of our overall income in 2010. And this public work department income also was about 21% of our overall income. Also, we have some work for the youth that we also they pay when we do the work. We also generate some income from them, and that's the youth department income that we have is about it was 2010, $2,650. That was the income that we received from the youth department. And also we have membership dues. Members of Mosque Columbus also they pay their share to the chapter. Those who are signed membership form, they come and every month they pay Mosque. And that also generates income for us. Even though now we share that half of that income to Mosque National, so that for example, I pay $50, $25 goes to Mosque National, and $25 goes to Columbus, Ohio. So membership dues was $1,241.50. That was the membership dues that we received from the members of Mosque Columbus. And if you see, on the other hand, the expenses that we had for those years, now in 2000, also we have I don't want to leave this also, we have salaries that we pay. The expense that we talk about now, we have salaries that we have employees that we pay. And in 2012, we had 2 employees. And our expense for salaries and payroll taxes was $64,641.01, which was about roughly 32% of our expenses. And also we have the operational center that we have, utilities, the land that we pay. Now we have a lease to own agreement with the owner that we inshallah will finish after 8 years, inshallah, 8 years that we own the center, inshallah. But now that we have agreement with them that we pay $200 per month until we finish that agreement that we have with them in the coming years. So operational service that we have at Mosque Center yearly in 2012 was $61,824.48. That was about 31% of our expenses at Mosque Columbus. Also, public work, even though we do the service for the community, they pay some money for that. Also, we pay some money to do the business, to do the work for them. In that case, public work expenses in 2012 was $20,654.98, or about 10% of our income in 2012. That was so. In this case, in 2012, there was $25,000 that we gave to one of the organizations here in Columbus, Ohio, that was in need for them. We give them a loan so that they are building now, mashallah, the workers there. They are building a big project now in the community. So we give them a loan of $25,000 in that year. And that also, if you add that to the income, overall income, that minimizes the budget deficit that we have at that time. So that was 2012. And now if I give you now a snapshot of now 2013 that we are in now, how now we are working, how now we are struggling in terms of financial situation in Mosque Columbus, and this is really what I will share with you. So overall income that we have had today, at this time, October 19, 2013, is now $120,627.48. $120,627.48. That's the overall income that we collected from the community so far in Mosque Columbus, our chapter. Our current expenses, though, is the opposite side. So you see now our expenses currently is $144,000, roughly. That's what we have now. And the reason for this is that for those of you who are in Mosque now, come Mosque regularly, you see that how we did in the bathroom. Bathroom now is, mashallah, this summer we have done the of mashallah that we renovated the bathroom, and about maybe $10,000 we spent in that bathroom working on it, and mashallah, now it's very, very clean. So that's really where we are now financially. And inshallah ta'ala, maybe the rest of now the year is still, we have 2 months left, so we can inshallah ta'ala cover this budget deficit that we have now in terms of expenses, inshallah. But now that's why we are calling the community to stand with us and work with us, inshallah ta'ala, and help us to maintain the work that we do for Mosque Columbus. So inshallah ta'ala, that's why we're having you here, inshallah, tonight. And I want to take the opportunity to welcome our brother Asad Zaman. Asad is from Minneapolis. He is really one of the leaders in Minneapolis, as you see. Some of you have seen already the email that we sent about his bio. he is one of the, mashallah, create that knowledge for him, one of the leaders in Minneapolis, and he's known by the state of Minneapolis, and he's known by the governor of Minneapolis because of the work that he does in the community. So I want to welcome you, Brother Asad, to the podium, inshallah, to talk to you and to appeal to you, inshallah, so that you can be generous enough for us, inshallah, and help us, Mosque Clubs, to function and maintain the work that we do for the community, inshallah. So, Jazakallah khair. Please welcome you, Brother Asad, inshallah, to the podium. Jazakallah.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praises belong to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. We glorify Him, we praise Him, we ask for His help. We seek protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil within ourselves and from the sins of our actions. Surely the one guided by Allah is truly guided, and the one whom Allah allows to be misled shall have no friend or guide. And I bear witness that there is no God except Allah, the one God, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and messenger. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I bring to you the salam from the capital of Somalia, also called Minnesota. and there was some ikhtilaf in our table about whether the capital of Somalia is in Columbus or Minnesota. But I think it is Minnesota, and I invite you all to come visit us there, inshallah. So they asked me to talk about moving the community forward. And it is hard to move forward without taking a look back. And we are, of course, in the sacred month of Zilhajj, which is a month where we remember the family of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And I remember 5 years ago, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I went to Hajj. And among the activities that Mass did that year, we took the first congressman, Muslim congressman, Keith Ellison, to Hajj with us. So I was with him, and we were doing Sa'i. And we were walking between Safa and Marwa. And then, you know, where they have the green light that you start jogging, and we started jogging. I said, Keith, you have to jog, so we were jogging. And then he said, explain to me, Sheikh, why are we jogging? So I gave him the explanation. I said, but the short answer is we are jogging here because our mother Hajar jogged here. So of course, as you know, Keith Ellison is a little bit of a liberal, not a little bit, he's very liberal. He's a feminist. So he's like, you mean we are walking in the footsteps of a woman? I said, yes. You see, all these men, he's like, all these men are walking in the footsteps of a woman? I said, yes. And see, it got me to thinking, what kind of a woman? And he asked me, you mean to tell me that congressmen have to walk in the footsteps of this woman? I said, yes, if they're congressmen, if they're senators, if they're presidents, if they're sultan, if they're amir, if they're king, they have to walk in her footsteps. And before them, there were khulafa who walked in her footsteps. And before them, there was a Nabi who walked in her footsteps. What about this woman is so amazing that you have to walk in her footsteps? She did something, right? So when we study the history of this amazing woman, we see her complete reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She asks her husband, where are you leaving me? There is no food, there is no water. Where are you leaving me? And he has no answer. Where are you leaving me? No answer. Where are you leaving me? No answer. And she says, did Allah command you to do this? He said, yes. Right? She said, in that case, then Allah will never forsake me. He will never leave me alone. I trust Him. Right? Let me ask you a question. What kind of a woman How strong does that iman have to be? You say to this woman, you're going to leave your baby and you in a desert without water or food, but your husband will remain with his other wife in their big house. And who will accept this? This lady accepted it. See, a part of her foresight, this is the reason why I'm going back to her story before we talk about the future. Part of the foresight of this amazing lady, she has a baby, she was breastfeeding the baby, her milk is dry because she herself has not eaten or drunk any water. She cannot feed the baby, there is no water. And the baby is crying. And she runs between Safa and Marwa. She goes to Safa, climbs up and says, is there somebody I can ask for water? No. So let me go to this other mountain. Right? In the middle, between the valley, between the two mountains, she cannot see her baby. She left the baby on the ground, she climbs high ground. And in the valley, she cannot see the baby. So in desperation, she jogs faster. Until she's a little bit higher, she can see the baby. Then she starts walking and climbs the mountain of Marwa. Is there anybody? There's nobody. Okay, let me see, maybe there's somebody there now. And she goes back and forth and back. And Allah Azza wa Jal, of course, has His own master plan. And Allah decides that the angel Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam will come and dig the well at the feet of the baby Ismail. And then she sees the water and she comes rushing to her baby. And the Rasulullah ﷺ told us in a Sahih Hadith, may Allah have mercy on our mother Hajar because she blocked the water. The water gushed forth. Even though she was hungry, she was starving, she was thirsty, she had a screaming baby. She had the foresight. This water has to be preserved for the future. Think of the wisdom of this lady. She's not thinking of herself. She took rocks and she blocked it. And she drank the water and she thanked Allah and she fed her baby and she waited until the travelers from the Jurhum tribe came. They saw the water. And we study in the books of Sirah that the tribe of Jurhum were traveling and they saw a bird in the sky. And they said there is not usually any birds here because there is no water. If there is a bird, it must be because there is water. Let us look for it. And they found a very strange sight. They found a bubble of water gushing forth from the soil, a woman and a baby. There are no trees, nothing else. It's a very strange sight in the desert. Usually in water, you have some trees, there is a wadi, there is an oasis, or there are some people camped out. You do not see a woman and a baby and nothing else. She has no camel, nothing. It's very strange. Is she an alien? Is she from a different planet? They don't know. And they ask her, do you mind? Can we settle here? Seems like a good source of water. We want to live here. You know, and the answer she gave is an amazing answer. She gave an amazing answer. An answer which causes us to think that she was thinking about the future, about 1,000 years in the future. She said, you can stay on one condition. The water is not yours. It belongs to Allah and His deen and the Ummah, not yours. So you accept this condition, you can stay with it. Otherwise, go away. It's an amazing answer. This tells you, by the way, some of the reasons why this lady is important and significant. Why we have to walk in her footsteps. Some aspects, there is a lengthier khutbah we can do about her. Right? So you see this concept of building for the future. Now our mother Hajar could not have imagined if she saw the Hajj that happened 5 days ago. She could not have imagined the 3 million people will walk in her footsteps one day. She did not know that. But she knew something very important. obey the command of Allah, and Allah will never abandon me. She knew something important. Inna Allah la yudi'u ajra al-mu'minin. Allah will never allow the good deeds of the believers to be destroyed. She was certain of this. And her deeds may appear small to somebody. All she did was take 10 rocks and block the water and defended the water. And this gave rise to the home of Islam. And she did not know how her small act would become magnified by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thousands of years in the future. So no one in this room knows. You are being called to build a small center. Last night I had the good fortune of visiting the center. But subhanAllah, I have been in much bigger centers and I have been in much smaller centers. Right? So you're being asked to build something small. And you cannot imagine what life will be like in America in 100 years. If Allah Azza wa Jal does not bring Qiyamah upon us, you cannot imagine what life will be like in 1,000 years. I cannot imagine this. But of this I am certain, my brothers and sisters in Islam. The good deeds I do with sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be forever. So the Rasulullah tells us in a very famous hadith, when the Bani Adam dies, when the son or daughter of Adam dies, his book comes to a close. His record is closed. Except for 3, illa thalatha. There are 3 categories of things which if we do while we are alive, will continue even after we are dead. And one of them is a sadaqah jariyah. So look, if you go into any of these countries that have Islam for more than 1,000 years, if you go to Somalia, if you go to Bangladesh, if you go to Egypt, if you go to Lebanon, there is a masjid that has been there for 1,000 years. Who built it? I don't remember his name. I went and prayed. But you know what? You and I don't know his name, but you know who knows his name? Allah Azza wa Jalla. And every time you pray in it, He gets ajr for it. And Allah knows which account to give it to. So we build something today, and we do not know who will come and benefit from it tomorrow. But we are sure that Allah is the best accountant, and He will track it for us. Even if the people of the dunya forget our names, okay, no problem. If you see a masjid in Egypt, Amr ibn al-As masjid. This masjid is 1400 years old. Who was the guy who made the individual brick and put the first brick? Do you know his name? I don't know his name. You know who knows his name? Allah. It's recorded. And the Rasulullah tells us that the second category is somebody who leaves behind a pious child. And this project, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is about the children. You know the young leader, the young lady who came and spoke? It's an amazing statement she made. I don't know, so many of you were not paying attention because it was a little girl. But what she said was amazing and powerful. She said, the youth are the future. It's very simple. It does not matter how much Islam you or I know or understand. You know what matters? Is how much of that we can convey to her. Today or tomorrow they are gone and they will be holding the flag. So this is why it is important for us to be youth focused. And the Rasulullah said, the third category is somebody left behind a piece of knowledge that is beneficial to people, that he gets the reward for it. For example, over 1,000 years ago, Ibn Sina made an amazing discovery. He discovered that if before surgery, if you wash the knife, and if you wash your hands before surgery, the patient has a higher probability of survival, just if you do this simple thing. Right? So he wrote it in his book, Al-Qanun al-Tib. Till today, people are doing this. It's called sterilization. Right? A simple concept, and he gets benefit for it. So when you build an educational institution from which flows out learning, you build for yourself sadaqah jariyah. You build for yourself a record that continues after you leave. My brothers and sisters in Islam, what does it mean to prepare for the next generation? What does it mean to move forward? Let me give you an example from the history of Islam. So I'm a little bit of an amateur historian, not a real historian. I don't remember the dates, very bad dates. But I try to remember the events, the stories. So the history of Islam is filled with very famous people named Muhammad. Because the name Muhammad is the most popular name on earth today, right? Who can tell me, by the way, who was the first person named Muhammad after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Anyone knows that? It's a trick question. His name was Muhammad. But it was Muhammad bin Ja'far. Ja'far radiallahu anhu was the first person in this ummah to name his child Muhammad. And many people, thousands and millions of people, have followed this precedent, the sunnah, and named their children Muhammad. So I will tell you a story about one of these little Muhammads. Many years ago, over 1,000 years ago, there was a boy named Muhammad. And one night he saw a dream. The dream was very startling, and he did not understand what it meant. So he went to his ustad, his shaykh, and he said, Ya shaykh, I saw this dream last night. In my dream, I saw that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was walking. And I was walking behind him. And wherever Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stepped foot, and he was walking step by step, and I would follow and put my foot on his footstep. So he was walking, and I was walking on his footsteps, exactly where he stepped. And this is my dream. That's all I saw. He did not say anything. He did not do anything else. Ya Shaykh, what does this mean? So his teacher tells him, you know, nowadays there are many people who lie against the Rasul. And there are so many narrations of hadith. If somebody were to compile them and separate the sahih from the da'if, it would be like as if he walked in the footsteps of the Rasul. You know this kid, Muhammad? His name was Muhammad bin Ismail. History records him as Imam Bukhari. This is Imam Bukhari. This kid, he was 10 or 12 years old when he saw this dream. So it's an example, by the way. The person is dead. His bones are no longer there. But the effect of the knowledge and the tarbiyah and the ilm and the a'mal he left behind is affecting you and me and her today. Look at that power. This is what we're talking about. You're not being asked, my brothers and sisters, you're not being asked to invest in a building. Although there is a building, inshallah, we buy a building with your money. It's not the real issue. It is not the building that worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we are doing something for the long term. Let me give you another example. Another Muhammad. Famous Muhammad. There are many Muhammads in the history of Islam, by the way. So there's a hadith of the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Constantinople will be conquered. Its commander will be the best commander in the history of humanity. And his army will be the best army that the world has ever seen. So this kid, Muhammad bin Murad, he was 12 or 13 years old, his teacher taught him this hadith. And he said, "Ya Muhammad, you must be this person. It is your duty in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to liberate Constantinople for Islam. You must do it." 13-year-old kid. So this is why, by the way, I was paying attention when this youth was talking and the rest of us were not paying attention. This is the future of Islam. The future of Islam was made by people like this. That's why we focus on the youth. You know what Muhammad bin Murad, also by the way, he's called Muhammad al-Fatih. Muhammad the Victorious. He became Khalifa, by the way, sometime when he was older. But Muhammad al-Fatih was an amazing person. He went out and learned 6 languages just so he would be able to command and lead a multi-ethnic group. His first language was Turkish, Arabic was the language of Islam. He learned Latin just so he could deal and understand what the Christians were saying. He learned several of the Slavic languages, like Romanian and Bulgarian, because many of the people in his army were from there. He needs to be able to talk to his people. He went out and he got a degree. He studied the machines of war. It's the equivalent of studying mechanical engineering. How to throw catapults, how to aim them. He went out and got himself this degree. The equivalent of mechanical engineering. Then he went and got what we would today call an MBA. Because he needed to learn how to manage people. Okay, and he had some very strange behaviors. He would take his horse and he would gallop at full speed into the sea until the nose of the horse was touching water, to teach his horse not to panic. Okay. He would stand at the outskirts of Constantinople. He would stand and he would shout a challenge to the Romans. And he would say, "The Rasul said, this is our city, I'm coming for it." And then they would throw rocks at him, or they would shoot an arrow at him, so he would move it a little bit back and then he would shout it again. And eventually he understood where's the limit of their arrow. He would stand on that line and he would shout every evening. And the sentries of Constantinople are here. There goes that crazy kid again, he's screaming at us. Every evening he screams. The Rasul said, "This is ours, I'm coming for it." And by the way, so look at the amount of determination it takes. When Sahaba like Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah attempted an assault on the city and failed, what kind of determination does it take for a boy who says, 700 years of Muslims have not succeeded, but I will do it? Because I must do it. This is preparing for the future, by the way. See, the thing, by the way, the bad thing, we read the history, we only read the last chapter. Oh, the Muslims were victorious, they conquered, they broke through the gates. They don't talk about all the things that went before. That Constantinople had 3 rows of walls that you could not breach. They had the strait between the 2 lakes, the 2 seas, was blocked by this piece of chain mail. Whenever a ship would try to cross it, that was from the enemies, and any Muslim ship would try to cross it, it would raise the chain and it would crash on it and break. In those days they did not have iron boats, they had wooden boats. Right? So we do not study these things. You know what this man did? He convinced an entire army to carry their ships on their backs, carry it from one corner to the other corner so he could be on the other side. And he started at Maghrib And he finished this task before Fajr on one day. And he convinced and trained his army in a very far place to do this work. 4 months. So that one day, the Romans woke up and they saw the Muslim navy on their backside. And that day, Constantinople was won. By that Maghrib. We do not see the preparation that goes. We just like hearing about the victory. Right? So what does it mean to build for the future? There is a lot of preparation. There is a lot of hard work that needs to happen. And see, the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam made many predictions. So this is not his primary role, is not to tell the future. But he told us some things about the future. One of the things he said, that Allah will open Constantinople for us. But it took 800 years until this prediction happened. Because you know why? Some Muslims were waiting for some other Muslims to do it. Until Muhammad bin Murad's teacher said, it's not any other Muslim, it's you. You have to do it. And that's the call, brothers and sisters in Islam. The Rasulullah made another prediction, which I will share with you today. And this applies to you and me. The Rasulullah said, this matter, this religion of Islam, will reach in every house, whether it is made of madar or of wabar. Or in another hadith is hajar or wabar. Whether the house is made of stone or whether it is made of tent. The day of judgment will not happen until this matter reaches every house, whether the house is permanent or temporary. Whether it is made of stone, or the word wabar literally means camel hair. The people in those days used to take the camel hair, because it was rough cloth, and they used to make tents out of it. Whether your house is made of camel hair or if it is made of stone, it will reach it. But see, I have a question for you, my brothers and sisters. Who will make this prediction happen? You and me, right? That's the interesting thing about the prediction of the Rasulullah. It will happen at the hands of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you and me. This matter will continue going. In another hadith, the Rasulullah says, it will continue going wherever the sun shines and wherever the sun does not shine. This is why you see I got an email that says, we're building a masjid in Alaska, we don't get sunshine, please send us money. Here is money. So the Rasulullah told us this would happen. Right? So you are being asked today, my brothers and sisters in Islam, to participate in the building of such a project. A project which, insha'Allah, you and I cannot foresee what will happen through it, how much khair Allah will bring in its hands. Imagine this organization, and this is my first time in your beautiful city. It's the first time I went to your center. Imagine there are people, they come for salah. You know, when I walked in, I said to the brother, why there are so many cars in the parking lot on Friday night? There's a lot of cars. What are they doing here? So there's a lecture going on. So I went in, and somebody was reading and explaining the story of how Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh became Muslim. And it warmed my heart. So on a Friday night, when people in this country are hanging out in bars and nightclubs, there are people at the Mass Center studying the history of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. That should tell you something. This good deed can be yours. This organization does youth camps. were telling me there was 100 youth they were training on how to run MSAs and things like that. That was last year, right? So somebody does this good deed and somebody pays for it. And the Rasulullah ﷺ tells us that in Islam, whoever facilitates a good deed shall have the benefits of the good deed without a reduction in the one who did it. This is part of the generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if I, for example, every time I pray, there's somebody who gets ajr every time I pray. Do you know that? You know who that is? My mother. She taught me to pray. So it is not possible for me to pray without my mother getting ajr for it. And by the way, her getting ajr does not reduce my ajr, so I don't have to feel jealous. You know, mother, this is my good deed, you can't take it. It's not like that. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is generous. So the one who will help establish this institution will get all the ajr that will come from this institution. And it's not from me, it's from the generous, the one who gives from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today we are going to do a fundraiser. As, it may have been a secret, but we're letting it out now. It's going to be a fundraiser. And we're going to ask for money. But before we do, let me tell you the following. We are looking today for one special person. And this special person will open the gates of goodness today. And when he opens this door, and he will be the first person, or she will be the first person to donate today. And all the people in this room will follow his or her example. So this person will take the reward of everybody in this room. Already Brother Abu Bakr took most of the reward because he organized it. So there will be one person who will take everything because he will be the first. And today we are not asking for a big number, we're only asking for $5,000. We want to open the gates of goodness today by an initial donation or pledge of $5,000 that will inshallah be a sadaqah jariyah for you until the day of judgment. There's somebody here who will make this pledge. And you know I'm looking at you. We are only looking for a $5,000 commitment. Small number. Let me tell you a story. So, the Rasulullah ﷺ, when he went to Medina, he built Masjid al-Nabawi. And the first Masjid al-Nabawi was very small, by the way, 5,000-6,000 square feet. Tiny little masjid. The first one. Then, because at that time there were very few Muslims, then most of the people of Medina started becoming Muslim. And then the masjid became overcrowded. So the Rasulullah ﷺ wanted to expand his masjid, Masjid al-Nabawi. So there was a person who owned a piece of land right next to the masjid. And the Rasulullah ﷺ told him, would you give me this piece of land for the sake of Allah, and I will promise you a house in Jannah. The man said no. But the owner of this land, he did not realize the good deal he had. He said, no, the price of my land is X, so many dirhams. That's what I need. So the Rasulullah ﷺ doesn't have the money, he left. So he didn't say anything. But Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu heard this story. He went to the man and he said, I heard you placed a price on your land, is that correct? He said, yes. How much price did you place on this land? He said, so many dirhams. Here it is. I want your land. Give it to me. Okay, it's yours. The man is happy. He takes the deed. He goes to the Is that correct? He said, yes. What was the price you offered, Ya Rasulullah? I offered a house in Jannah. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, the price is still good? The sale over or still there is time for the sale? So no, the price is good. So then, Ya Rasulullah, I wish to reserve my house in Jannah. Ya Rasulullah, I wish to reserve my house in Jannah. It's a very interesting concept. Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu was a millionaire. He's used to negotiating, by the way. He buys and sells. This is what he does for a living. In regards to this, no negotiation. What's the price? This one. Here, take it. Because see, he realized the opportunity that is presented. It's a short-term opportunity. Somebody else will jump and I will lose it. Let me take it right now. Ya Rasulullah, please reserve my house in Jannah. So there's a short-term opportunity you have before somebody else in this room reaches up, raises his hand, and takes the ajr. We're looking for one person to open the door of this fundraiser. You do not have to make the payment right away. You can make it in monthly payments over 10 months. It will be $500 a month over 10 months, or $5,000 altogether. Then one person, a brother or a sister, who will make this sadaqah either for himself or for his parents. Allahu Akbar. I said takbir, you say Allahu Akbar. Takbir. 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 Let's make dua for this brother. Would you join me in dua for 1 minute? Allahumma ameen. Oh Allah, have mercy on this brother. Oh Allah, forgive him his sins. Oh Allah, increase his barakah. Oh Allah, increase his income. Oh Allah, take care of his children. Oh Allah, protect him from the fire. Oh Allah, protect his family. Oh Allah, make him a good example for us. Ameen. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, He says in Surah Al-Baqarah, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء. Shaitan threatens you with poverty. And he commands you to do evil. And in contrast, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا. Allah, on the other hand, promises you forgiveness and bounty. So we believe with our full heart that when we do fundraisers, the shaitan is trying to stop us. This is why we begin by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Please repeat after me, because this is important. You're going to say after me, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So we want shaitan to leave. This gathering not for him. The other places on Saturday night he can go to. Right? Not here. He should not be here. So now, here is what we are looking for, brothers and sisters. We're looking for one person who will match this brother and take the rewards of this brother and double the rewards of this brother. So you get the ajr of paying $10,000, you only have to pay 5. And it all goes to Allah and He will multiply by 7 anyway. Right? So this is Islamic investing. Okay? Now I'm an accountant by training. I'm a certified management accounting. There's no way I can give you return on investment better than this. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was the governor of Bahrain under the Khilafah of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. perfume that is secreted by an animal called the musk deer. It's a small deer, it's about this size. But this deer is at least 3 to 5 years old. There is a small gland under its navel. And the gland is this size. And when you kill the deer, you can harvest this musk. And you get 1, maybe 2 ounces of musk from one deer. And there's no way to harvest this without killing the animal. Okay, so most of the perfumes that you have, artificial perfumes, they have synthetic musk in them. So I'm not talking about the synthetic junk. The real musk, ounce for ounce, is one of the most expensive substances known to man. It's more expensive than cocaine. Let me put it that way. Cocaine is more expensive than gold by weight. You know that, right? So musk is one of the most expensive substances known to man, ounce for ounce. So let me ask you a question. If I have a box, and the box is sealed with gold, what is your expectation of what is inside the box? Is it worth more or less than the gold? Who all said more? More, right? Yeah. Usually the seal is the least expensive part of the thing. So when the seal of something is made of the most expensive stuff known to man, what is that is inside it? This is a drink, you drink it once, you will never be thirsty again. You drink it once, day of judgment, you will never be thirsty. It's worth at least $5 million, this one drink. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing this drink, Rahiq al-Makhtoum, which is sealed with musk. Khidamuhu misk. He describes this drink. وَمِزَاجُهُ مِن تَسْنِيمٍ. Okay, so the drink, Rahiq al-Makhtoum, is itself a mixture. There is a drop of tasneem in it. There's a bunch of other stuff, less valuable than tasneem. In this drink, which is more expensive than the most expensive stuff known to man. So I bet I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, so who drinks tasneem? So the Rahiq al-Makhtoum is drank by all the people of Jannah. Who drinks tasneem? And Allah answers this question. أَيْنَ يَشْرَبُ بِهَا الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. It's going to be drunk. This is a river or a fountain. Only the muqarrabun can drink from it. So you see, my brothers and sisters, Jannah is not one level. There are levels in Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after describing this, He says, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. So for this, let the competitors compete. So will there be somebody, because I think the $5,000 bus has gone. So now we open the door for a smaller number, an easier number. Can we get pledges at $2,000? We should be able to get 5 people at this number. The $2,000 donation will help put together the next youth conference. Is there one person here? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. 2, 3, Allahu Akbar. So you have the pledge cards in your folder. Please take out your pledge cards, fill it up. Please fill every piece of it. Sometimes you don't give a phone number and then it's hard for the brother to follow up with you. Can we get a 4th person at this number? A $2,000. See, and I have to tell the sisters. See, we are in America, and women are liberated in this country. So they can do all the things that men can do, including donations. They can give sadaqah, and their sadaqah reaches Allah directly. It's no problem between them and Allah. So there's no reason for the sisters not to compete with the brothers in this matter. Can there be a 4th person at $2,000 for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us in a famous hadith. See, those of you who read hadith, you know this. But it is not the sunnah of the Rasulullah ﷺ to say wallahi. He usually does not say this. It's very rare, by the way. Very, very rare that he will say something about something he would say wallahi. I swear by Allah. Because the man is truthful, so he tells truth. He does not need to emphasize, no, this time I really mean it. But everything he says, he means it. But for this particular hadith, the Rasulullah ﷺ says, wallahi, wallahi, wallahi. I swear by Allah, I swear by Allah, I swear by Allah. The wealth will not be destroyed by sadaqah. And this is from Sadiq al-Masduq, the one who is to be trusted and believed. And he assures you your wealth will not be destroyed by sadaqah. Let me tell you the story of somebody like that. Abdurrahman bin Auf, radiallahu anhu, was a man who lived in Mecca. So he was not particularly from a noble family. The Quraysh were a very segregated society. Everything went on class and my tribe is bigger than your tribe, nonsense like that. So Abdurrahman bin Auf radiallahu anhu was not from one of those noble or, he was not one of the Kennedys or one of the Bushes or one of the Clintons. He was not like that. He was a normal guy. So when the Rasulullah ﷺ commanded, even by the way, when he was poor, he was generous. The Rasulullah ﷺ commanded the Sahaba to go from Mecca to Medina. He took whatever wealth he had, he left and went to Mecca, Medina. On the way, the Quraysh accosted him. And they forced him to give up his wealth. So that by the time he entered Medina, he did not have $1, not $1 dirham, not even 1 cent, just the clothes on his back. His feet were bleeding. That's how he entered Medina. Because he had to give up his wealth so they would allow him to leave. This is the bargain he made. The Rasulullah ﷺ heard it and he said, Abdurrahman has made a very good bargain. So when he came, the Rasulullah ﷺ made him a brother with one of the Ansar. And his Ansar brother said, my brother, I have these wealth, this is my accounting, half of it is yours. And I have 2 wives, you tell me which one you want, I divorce her after the iddah you marry her. And Abdurrahman goes, brother, this is not your wife is not your property. Can't do this. And in any case, I don't want your money. Just show me where the marketplace is. May Allah give you barakah in your wealth. I don't want your money. Show me the marketplace. So after Abdurrahman bin Auf went to the marketplace, he did not have anything on him. Not even 1 dirham, not anything to buy, and not anything to sell. He was just walking to the marketplace, he saw a man, and the man said, listen, I have this, what in Arabic is called samna baladi, which the Pakistani brothers call ghee. I have this bucket of butter, oil, or ghee. And I don't have time to sell it. Will you sell it for me at this price? Or sell it for whatever and give me this much money? Can you do that for me? He didn't even know him. He said, yeah, sure, I'll do that for you. So this was his starting capital. And that day he sold it and he made a profit so that he had enough money to buy something for tomorrow's business. And he continued doing business, But see, there's something about Abdurrahman bin Auf. A couple of things. Because he heard the Rasulullah ﷺ say that whatever you give in sadaqah will come back to you. This is like what the brother was saying. So he implemented it. He would always give in sadaqah. He said, I swear by Allah, I never spent 100 in the morning without it returning to me 1,000 in the evening. Never. Immediately. He was one of the Ashar ibn Bashar. Also, he had a very interesting characteristic. He was very rich. Anything he touched became gold. And literally, if you would touch this water, somehow you make money on it. Somehow, somewhere, he makes some money on it. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him because of his generosity. Towards the end of his life, Abdurrahman bin Auf was so rich, he was like a multi-billionaire. He was like Bill Gates rich. Right? And Abdurrahman bin Auf, in his heart, he wanted to die a poor man. Something he had a desire that he wanted to meet Allah while he was poor. So he tried giving away sadaqah. It's not working out. He would give away 1,000 dirhams, it would come back 10,000. Give away 100,000 dirhams, it comes back 1,000,000. So it's not working out. The goal is to become poor. Right? He gave enough sadaqah in his life, so now he doesn't need more sadaqah, he just wants to be poor. So Abdurrahman bin Auf thought about what to do. He said, look, the only way I can lose money is I have to lose money in business. So what's the most unreasonable business to do? Because at that time, Iraq was the bread capital, the date capital of the Arab world. The best dates were made in Iraq. So he said he would buy dates from Medina and sell it in Iraq. This was his business idea to make a loss. So he loaded a caravan of 1,000 camels with dates from Medina, told his caravan manager, go to Iraq and sell it for whatever price you get. The caravan manager goes, but sir, it doesn't make sense, just do what I'm telling you. The caravan manager goes, well, he's the boss and he must know something, he's a prominent Sahabi, so okay, fine, whatever he says. He took his 1,000 camels, went from Medina to Iraq. And as this caravan was entering, the people of Iraq that week were struck by a curious disease for which there was no known cure. Everybody has this disease and there is no cure. The doctors don't know what's going on. And this caravan entered and somebody remembered the hadith that Rasulullah ﷺ said, the dates of Medina have shifa. So the caravan manager, usually you sell the dates by the sa' and the mud. You sell it by the kilogram. They sold it individually one by one. And he made a profit on this deal. So Rasulullah ﷺ tells you, I swear by Allah, I swear by Allah, I swear by Allah. Your wealth will not be destroyed because of your sadaqah. Can we get another person a $2,000 pledge? One more person. One more person will take the benefit of this blessed night. Because you get this opportunity. And opportunities like this do not come all the time. Hey, that's fine. Next we will go, inshallah. See, look, we'll go with $1,000. Sometimes we don't realize the significance of something small we say around. Something small we say around. So you all have heard of the great Muslim scientist Ibn Nafis. So Ibn Nafis lived about 800 years ago. And he is the one who discovered blood circulation. The concept that the blood goes around the body and this is how it nurtures the body and things like that. You know what propelled him to do this? That when he was a child, there were many philosophers who would argue and talk nonsense. And there was a particular hadith of the Rasulullah ﷺ. The Rasulullah ﷺ said, Allah Azza wa Jal never created an illness for which He did not create a cure except death. It's a hadith, Sahih. Right? So this is a well-known hadith, it was famous back then, it's famous now. So some of the nonsense philosophers of his day and age were saying, look, there are these diseases, there are no cures for these diseases, the hadith is wrong. All the smart people are going, yeah, scientifically we're advanced, we can't believe this hadith anymore. Right? Just like nowadays, people are very scientific, they're very advanced. So Ibn Nafis as a child would hear the philosophers say stupid things like this. And this propelled him. So no, I am going to inshallah become a doctor and I will find the cures for these diseases, so that I can prove to the public that the Rasulullah ﷺ spoke the truth. Of course, he cannot cure every disease, Allah has a different wisdom. But he is the one who discovered the circulation of blood. He is the one who understood that the blood goes through the lungs for the purpose of cleaning the blood and refreshing the blood and things like that. He is the one who understood the anatomy of the heart, how the blood flows from one chamber to the other, and then this way and that way. He's the one who understood this. And he wrote a book about it, which became the basic book on the basis of which, for hundreds of years, people studied after this. So you never know, once something small you did can lead to something big and massive for the long term. So who are the people who will make $1,000 pledge? $1,000 for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a loan that I'm asking you to give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says in the Quran, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يُقْرِضُ اللَّهُ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا. Who is it who will give a loan to Allah, a goodly loan? He will multiply it or he will double it. One brother, Allahu Akbar. We get a second, Allahu Akbar. A third, Allahu Akbar. A fourth, Allahu Akbar. Can we have some sisters? Allahu Akbar. Jazakallah khair. You warm my heart. Because the sisters of this ummah are no less than the brothers of this ummah. In the history of Islam, the sisters have done amazing things. You know, the world's first university that is continuous and is in existence till today. The oldest university is the University of Alexandria, but it was suspended in the middle for thousands of years. But the oldest university that was built and ran continuously till today is where? It has a very interesting lineage. It's in a city called Kairawan. It's about 900 or 1,000 years old. There was a sister, she wrote a waqf for this city, for this university. It's one sister. She inherited some money. She said, I have no need for this money. I make a waqf for the future of knowledge. And it remains to today. So the sisters can do whatever they can do. So will there be another person, a fifth person, because we like to finish on an odd number. Fifth person with $1,000, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So now we will go to a $500 level. And after this, inshallah, we will end. How much time do I have? They said I could go till 11 or 12 o'clock until they are not listening. I'm joking. So listen, if you don't collect enough money, you know the jokes of the fundraiser, right? The sheikh comes and he says, the good news, so we need to collect $1 million. The good news, we found $1 million. The bad news, it's in the parking lot, so we're towing on your cars. The cars that are parked are worth $250,000. The cars of the people here worth $250,000. But anyway, so the Rasulullah ﷺ tells us that the sadaqah protects from the hellfire. He tells us that the sadaqah extinguishes, it is a fire extinguisher. The sadaqah extinguishes sin like water extinguishes fire. Sahih hadith. So the Rasulullah ﷺ tells us that in the grave, the sadaqah will protect from the fire. We are told in Bidayah wa Nihaya that there will be a man in the grave. And he will be lying in his grave and the gate to Jahannam will be opened. A window to Jahannam will be opened and the fire will be about to burn him. And just as he is trying to hide from the fire, there will come a handsome young man who will push the fire away. And the man in the grave will say to the young man, thank you for doing this. By the way, who are you? Why are you here? And the handsome man will say, do you not recognize your good deeds? I am your good deeds. And the man will say, but I did not do this many good deeds. And his sadaqah will say, no, but after you left, it multiplied. The sadaqah you did, it multiplied. So can we get somebody here at $500? One person at $500. The sisters are waving goodbye or they're raising their hands? Oh, you're waving goodbye, okay. The one person at $500 for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Somebody gave. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, second person. Can we get a third person at $500? Third, Allahu Akbar. Okay, fourth person at $500. Allahu Akbar. So before we finish, because I think the people are getting eager to leave, and the good things should also end in a good way, I make this advice. So to make this advice, let me tell you a short hadith. The Rasulullah ﷺ tells us that there is a group of malaika, there is a group of angels. They fly across the earth, looking and searching for any gathering, any majlis, any meeting where the name of Allah is mentioned. And whenever the first angel finds such a gathering, such as this gathering, then he turns on a beacon, he sends a signal, he sends a text message, whichever way you want to think about it, to the rest of the angels on his team. So they're divided into teams. But in Mass we call them usras. So he sends a text message to the rest of his team. So what you're looking for is here. So the malaika surround that building, that gathering. And then they stack themselves on top of each other all the way up to the sky to surround this gathering with light. And when the meeting finishes, they prepare a report and they go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and deliver the report. Oh Allah, we found your slaves were gathered in such and such a place, and this is what they did. And Allah Azza wa Jal asks them, although Allah knows better, what were my slaves doing? And they said they were praising you. And Allah asks, although Allah knows better. And what did they ask for? Oh Allah, they asked for Jannah. And Allah asks, although He knows better. And what did they seek protection from? And the Malaika answer, oh Allah, they sought protection from your Jahannam. And Allah says, oh my Malaika, bear witness that I have forgiven them and I have given them what they asked for. And one of the Malaika would say, oh Allah, in this group there was somebody who was not really part of them. But he came and he saw them and he sat with them for a little while. But he was not part of them. And then he left. What about this person? Is he also included in this group? And Allah Azza wa Jal would say, he was with them, he shares in their good. Yes, he is included. Because Allah is generous. We will not find Allah doing stingy, miserly things. So my brothers and sisters, you are in a Jama'atul Khair. You are in a good gathering. People have gathered here to do good deeds. Participate to your ability. If you can pay 500, you should pay 500. Maybe some of you were embarrassed to raise your hand. You want to give private sadaqah, that's fine. If you can give 200, give 200. If you can give 100, give 100. If you can give 50, give 50. If you cannot, give $1. But do not allow this jama'ah to end, this majlis to finish, without participating in the khair that the rest of your brothers and sisters have done. So whatever you do, even if it is small, because the Rasulullah ﷺ tells us, whoever builds for Allah a house, even if it is as small as a bird's nest, Allah will build for him a house in Jannah. You know how small is a bird's nest? 1/4 of a brick, right? The sparrow's nest is this size. How much is one brick for the masjid? One brick is like $2. If you give 50 cents, 1/4 of a brick, Allah Allah will give you house of Jannah. So do not allow any good deed to happen without taking a share in it. I have to take my piece of it. This is my closing advice to myself and to my brothers. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Where is the Shaykh? Where is the Shaykh to do dua? We want to end with dua.
Jazakallah khair, brother Asad, for that wonderful fundraising. Jazakallah khair for all of you for coming tonight. And I want to conclude this, inshallah, before I call my Sheikh Mosque, inshallah. I want to, inshallah, I promise for you, inshallah, this coming Saturday, I will knock the door, inshallah. Those people who didn't show up today here because of what happened, that happened to the community members. So, inshallah, this coming Saturday, I want maybe about 3 or 4 brothers to help me, inshallah, with this. So, we'll knock the door, inshallah ta'ala. We go to the community, to the business, inshallah ta'ala, because Mosque Columbus is really yours. So, it's yours, inshallah. So, I need some volunteers to raise hands, inshallah, to be with me this Saturday. We can meet anywhere, inshallah, the mosque, any place, inshallah, so we can go together and knock some doors. So can I have some hands, inshallah? Jazakallah, mashallah. Jazakallah. Who else? Yes, 2. I have 2 now. I need more, maybe 2 people, inshallah. Or one more brother, inshallah, or sister, inshallah. Sisters, or maybe you can do more than brothers. So please, inshallah, whatever you can. So inshallah, I promise for you this Saturday, inshallah, coming Saturday, I will go to the city, inshallah, everywhere, south, east, west, north, and we will knock some doors, inshallah, for Mosque Columbus. Jazakallah khairan, and thank you for all of you for coming tonight. We're very grateful to you, and this thing we call ourselves Mosque Columbus. So the center doesn't have any other name. So that's why it's a center that has a vision that can move people forward to the God consciousness that we look for, inshallah. So please, inshallah, keep us in inshallah, prayers, and inshallah, we'll do our best to maintain ourselves, inshallah, and make that center a center for the community, inshallah. I want brother Sheikh Musa, Sheikh Ahmad, inshallah.
الحمد لله والثناء لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا دين إلا قضيته، ولا مريضا إلا شافيته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أطعم من أطعمنا وأنفق من أنفق على هذه المؤسسة. اللهم تقبل من المنفقين في سبيلك ما قدموا لهذه المؤسسة. اللهم بارك لهم فيما قدموا وفيما أخروا. اللهم بارك لهم في أزواجهم وذرياتهم وأموالهم وقوتهم، إنك على كل شيء قدير. وبارك في من حضر في هذا الدعاء. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا، وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما. ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير، وكان الإنسان عجولا. وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا. صدق الله.